In the past week, two Hollywood actors made statements concerning colleagues they had worked with in the past and whom are no longer with us. One of the two, more specifically Mark Hamill, is embraced by the establishment. The other one, being Zachary Levi of Shazam fame, is on the outs and in the process of being full-on cancelled. This, of course, not only reveals an incredible double standard, but since Hollywood's reaction turned out to be the polar opposite to that of the audience, it also reveals just how deep the schism between Hollywood and the establishment media in one end and the audience in the other has become. And that should worry Hollywood. Let's dive in. This video is sponsored by Black Forest Supplements. Before we get into the double standard in the response to comments made about late colleagues, let's introduce the players in the upcoming story. Let's begin with Zachary Levi, whose real crime against Hollywood isn't anything he has said or done the past week, but that he has the wrong political loyalties, and worse still, he has them in an election year. Like Gina Carano before him, that means everything he does say can be reframed as a high crime. Publicly, he first ruffled feathers in Hollywood when he wasn't sufficiently supportive about the strikes which shut Hollywood down for months shortly after the lockdowns. And not long after that, he criticized Hollywood for making too much garbage content that audiences don't respond to. But what really put him on the outs was endorsing Orange Man Bad, after his preferred candidate, RFK, did the same, even though, as he said, doing so would likely cost him his Hollywood career. That's when Hollywood collectively lost their minds, with even the general sentiment in the comments of this very Deadline Hollywood article being that yes, his career is done now, and that's a good thing. Not everyone liked the implication about Hollywood's partisan preferences though, with Whoopi Goldberg of The View fame schooling him about the error of his ways for being so misinformed as to think that Hollywood would ever cancel someone for having the wrong party allegiance. After all, Hollywood started out as right-leaning, argues Whoopi, and if they behave, there is no repercussions for being so today either. Though here it should be noted that Deadline Hollywood did put quotation marks around schools in the title, as they know full well that what Whoopi is saying here is not entirely reflective of reality, as they have previously published an editorial demonstrating how failure to submit to the Democrat Party, which includes offering up party donations, absolutely can and often will derail a career. So, that was Zachary Levi, now on the outs with the Hollywood establishment. Next, we have Mark Hamill, known as Luke Skywalker, the Joker, Jake Skywalker, and most recently, seemingly a full-time paid political influencer, and to this end, a proud member of White Dudes for Harris, a collection of soy-drinking Hollywood stars and power players the Hollywood elite feels other men should want to be more like, and certainly vote like them.
There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris? Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
Here are some more examples of what the establishment think all men should be like.
I'm man enough to raw dog a flight. It sucked. Not worth it.
I'm man enough to be emotional in front of my wife.
In front of my kids.
In front of my horse.
I'm man enough to tell you that I cry at Love Actually.
Good Will Hunting.
West Side Story.
And these guys are of course also perfectly in line with the weak, feminized and subjugated beta male characters being normalized in the media, while the populace is being bombarded with estrogenic chemicals from plastics, junk food and sedentary lifestyles. As a result, testosterone levels have been declining for decades, with a 17% drop among 60-year-olds in 2004 compared to 1987. So just imagine what it is today, or what it's going to be in the future if things continue like this. Moreover, sperm count and strength in men are also decreasing exponentially, with a 32.5% decrease in mean sperm concentration in the last 50 years, and a striking reduction in grip strength among young men compared to 30 years ago. Luckily, there is hope. Black Forest's Turkesterone with Tongkat Ali limited edition supplement has been dubbed the feminization killer, since it combines two of the most potent natural testosterone boosters in the market. One, Turkesterone, is a natural anabolic compound that supports muscle growth, improves endurance, and boosts testosterone levels. The other, Tongkat Ali, is an ancient potent natural herb that has been used for thousands of years to increase testosterone levels, improve libido, and reduce stress levels. In short, this supplement is just what is needed in a culture that is trying to normalize weakness by pushing specimens like these as role models. You need to get it soon though, as it is limited edition, and once it's gone, it's gone. But since Black Forest sponsors this video, we naturally have a deal for you. If you go to the link in the description, you can buy 2 and get 1 for free. The offer is only valid for 48 hours though, so get yours now. And with that, let's return to Mark Hamill and Zachary Levi and what they did in this last week. Let's begin with Mark Hamill, Democrat influencer. And you won't find this in any of the Hollywood trades, because they deemed this a complete non-issue and perfectly fine. So we're gonna have to go to Fox News for coverage on this one. Star Wars actor Mark Hamill salutes late Carrie Fisher's birthday, recounting who hated Trump more. The story reads, Star Wars actor Mark Hamill celebrated his late co-star Carrie Fisher's birthday by remarking on how he thought she would vote in 2024. Hamill posted an image of himself and Fisher on Monday to honor the actress on what would have been her 68th birthday. Most of the posts on X, formerly Twitter, was dedicated to their mutual dislike of former President Trump. For Carrie, Hamill wrote with a birthday cake emoji, and for those wondering how she would vote in this election, one of the last of many arguments we had was who hated the orange atrocity more. After half an hour, we had to agree to disagree. #CarryOnForever. No one disagrees that, like the rest of the Hollywood establishment, Carrie Fisher did express the standard required TDS, and for all we know, she might have done that still. But she passed in December of 2016, before the Orange Man formally took over the office. As such, Mark Hamill can't know for certain that she wouldn't have been one of the many whose position has, shall we say, evolved over the last 8 years. Instead, Hamill explicitly used her memory and legacy to further his preferred political cause, something we cannot know for certain that she still would have agreed with had she still been with us these past 8 years. The result to this stunt was, as we saw, a deafening silence from the Hollywood trades, while Fox does bring forth reactions from a number of individuals of conservative leanings, and these were, as expected, all negative. But while Fox didn't point this out, so were the responses from large swaths of Hamill's fans, which include Star Wars fans and the general movie-going audience. And as Marca magazine pointed out, the general audience were, on the whole, horrified that Hamill would do this. So, Mark Hamill's invoking his late co-star to further his political cause is okay with Hollywood, not so much with the audience. Let's now compare that with Zachary Levi. He has, in the past, worked with Broadway actor Gavin Creel, who passed away on September 30th, after battling a very, very rare, but in his case, a very, very aggressive form of cancer. More specifically, soft tissue sarcoma, which according to the Mayo Clinic is, relative to the times when it does occur, normally slow moving, and which according to the American Cancer Society has an 80% 5-year survival rate. Creel, unfortunately, had such an aggressive and fast-moving version of this typically much more slow-developing cancer that it went from seemingly nothing to stage 4 in no time flat. And even if he had access to the best specialists and best treatments in the world, he ended up in that other 20%. This, then, is where Zachary Levi suggested that maybe and I have to be careful with how I word this given the rules of this platform. But he suggested that maybe a certain medical procedure that Creed, in his position as a Broadway actor, would have been mandated to undertake. And that this procedure, in turn, might have had a role in, how do I put it, turbocharging this very, very rare and normally very, very slow-moving form of cancer. There was no judgment of Creed's character, no attack against him for having accepted the procedure, which was indeed a mandatory requirement in his chosen profession. There was only the suggestion that perhaps there might have been some connection here, and that maybe, with the benefit of hindsight, it might have been advisable if the procedure was optional rather than mandatory, and that maybe, just maybe, some lessons should be learned from this about mandating similar treatments in the future. The contrast in the response to Mark Hamill using his late former co-star to further a cause close to him could not have been greater. While the industry trades didn't even bother to mention what Hamill did, they came down on Levi like a ton of bricks. And in the very first sentence of their write-up, Deadline Hollywood labeled him as both an anti-vixer and conspiracy theorist, labeling his words a bizarre pro-Trump rant. The article then referenced institutions who vehemently deny any link between the procedure and cancer, not because there are any long-term studies which disproves any such link, because there aren't any, but because they are the authority in this matter and they say so. Finally, the article brought up some select quotes from other talent to make the point, printing statements like, "Gavin deserved better. What has happened to you to have flown so far from decency and sanity? It's just so sad." And "Stop using Gavin's death for attention." And "You were the worst part of She Loves Me." And "Photographing you in She Loves Me, I just remember you chain-smoking outside the stage door. Your poor cast had to deal not only with you, but your stench." And "Are you kidding me with this absolute garbage? Go peddle your ignorance elsewhere. It's disgusting. Disgusting." Deadline Hollywood then concluded this article, saying, "Levi previously endorsed Donald Trump at a rally last month after his first pick, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., dropped out of the presidential election," thus reminding their Hollywood base readers just how horrible Levi is. So the readers could tear him a new one in the comments, for how dare he cast doubt on the safety and efficiency of the treatment they all took. But by contrast, regular people, for the most part, either supported him in saying this, or shrugged it off like it was nothing. So here then, we have another major discrepancy between how the entertainment media complex and regular viewers reacted to Mark Hamill and Zachary Levi, both referring to late co-stars to illustrate different narratives. And who reacted how to whom is very telling, and very, very bad for Hollywood, because it only goes to show just how far they and more regular people with normal jobs are from each other. And that, my friends, is Hollywood's problem, because they are the ones in a state of crisis. Part of that is due to lockdowns and strikes, but that only compounded the bigger issue of them being utterly out of touch with the real world on multiple issues, including their characterization of men. Now the situation is critical though, as Zachary Levi himself has pointed out, and it won't change until Hollywood reorients itself towards the preferences of the audience. Until they do, nothing they might try to win audiences back, or influence them to vote in certain ways, is going to work. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and before you go, head down to the description to claim our exclusive time-limited buy 2 get 1 for free offer of Black Forest Turkesterone with Tomcat Ali limited edition. Black Forest Supplements is a brand dedicated to bringing traditional masculinity and femininity back, and their Tomcat Ali is a supplement I use myself, as I want to stay fit and strong, as should you. So hurry and take advantage of this amazing 48-hour promo and support me alongside this very based brand.